Hi, Esther. Welcome to another episode of Chit Chat with Rachana and Esther. Um, so, I really wanted to say that I've spent a lot of time in different schools, and I mean really traditional spiritual schools, and not just on the surface, but I've really tried to penetrate to the heart. And it was when I found your work that I realized the most direct path to the truth is in the body, specifically in the organs of love. And there's so many other people working with this type of energy. However, I have noticed that it's being distorted in all sorts of ways. Um, so I'm curious, what do you think separates your work? Why do you think that it's not being distorted in the same way?
Because I think that every single doubt that you can have can come into this work and still feel grounded and anchored in the frequency of truth in your body. It's not about anything I'm saying, which I love because it releases me to have to prove anything to anyone because they've got the proof in their own body. So I don't have to make anyone a believer. Their body, their body's own responses, sensations, reconnect them to source, and make deep contact with their internal reservoir of beingness.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. And so much of the tantric schools out there are kind of fixated on manipulating something in the body, like in a almost materialistic way. I mean, even if it's energy that you're manipulating, it's still a distrust of the natural mechanism of the body. And very recently, I actually got a bit um, irked because I saw there's a popular woman's sexuality influencer, and she teaches a lot about cervical awakening, but I saw that she was talking about the prostate and stimulating a man's prostate and how that's balancing the masculine and feminine forces. And I didn't really understand what it was, but you know, I had aversion. I felt my body contract a bit to that, and I was wondering if you had any kind of insight on what that type of teaching is doing.
It's not trusting the lingam and the yoni to be able to do it. Now we're putting our fingers into all different sorts of holes as though the lingam, because remember we've talked about it, right? So even when a man puts his fingers up towards the cervix, even a wand, they're mimicry. It's not the physiological organs of love, as you put it, that are designed to make love. I mean, why would you think you'd be better at making love with your finger than your organically designed organ given to you by God? And when I say given to you by God, I mean included in your body as a reproductive, co-creative organism made to do that. What's different, like once you've worked out, once you've assimilated what the yoni and the lingam do together, and I say do very lightly, then you know where the origin comes from. You're guided by them. You can use your hands, you can use your tongue, you can use your mouth, you make love beautifully, but always guided by the masters of love, which is the yoni and the lingam. Because they emanate, and they command the body how to release and relax itself in order to free flow even more essence through it. So, I mean, wands and fingers are fine. But even most people don't even have the resensitization to actually even be able to be using their fingers, let alone let alone other parts of their bodies. It's about resensitizing the body to a degree where it can feel tension. And ultimately, as you've learned with the yoni, remember how we go into the tension of it? It tends to get tighter rather than looser. Because a lot of people have this idea, oh, energy, you're supposed to, like when you go to a massage, my shoulder's really sore. And they think if you put your fingers on a muscle, oh, we just rub it, don't you? And then that loosens it. It doesn't actually work that way with the body, because the body has a really intelligent formation of how to protect itself that's way more complex than what the mind, can come up with.
That's really interesting because in our, I'm an Ayurvedic student, and in our text, it actually says that when you massage somebody, you never rub or go in there. You actually just relax the person enough so that the body starts its own natural healing mechanism. So Ayurveda is very against, invasive sort of massage techniques. But more importantly,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Well, it's no wonder, because they know where the energy originates from. And to be honest, when you do that, you're lazy. That's and it's not like I haven't gone through that when I was a body worker, not when I became more precise. But you're lazier, and you believe you're the one that makes things happen. And I guess the yoni and lingam are an important facet of sexuality and lovemaking, because it's there that the man and the woman go, huh, oh, guess what? We're not the ones doing the act.
And it has extremely mystical implications about the nature of reality, is what I've seen. It's not just about sex, it's about the very like fabric of this existence. I mean, as I was telling you that when you taught me to go into the yoni, I started to see in a very magical way things in my life started shifting very quickly in a more
Yeah.
tumultuous sort of manner. But I had enough trust, just enough, um,
Just enough, yeah.
to keep trying. Um, and it wasn't even me who had the trust. Um, I just knew that some part of me knew, and it was the body. But I started to see in an extremely mystical way that my yoni births this physical reality in front of me. And it is the quickest way because I know we were just talking about, can I be in any part of the body? Can I be in my elbow? And I think yes, you can be. However, it's a slower way to the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're acting as a substitute God instead of letting God create it for you effortlessly through the yoni and lingam. And I think we were also talking about the fact that the quickest way to bring a man into material form, and you actually know this, is to keep going into the yoni and to meet the man outside of you, definitely, and look at the places whereby the frequency in your body is not the quality that you're having with this man outside, and continuing to refine that. And as you keep going into your body chooses the highest frequency in it rather than the man outside. And then the man who is most closest to the frequency in your body is the one who draws to you. And it starts with you making contact with an etheric lingam in you, the highest etheric lingam, and then the highest etheric lingam materializes in a man.
I have
And it's
personally,
really interesting. Hmm.
just sorry to say, I've personally experienced every word you've said, so it rings. But go ahead.
I know you have. And I remember you didn't think that it was possible, like, and I would tell you that not like it wasn't possible but I would share with you my experience. And the only way I could share my experience was it was happening. It happens to me. And um, but then the fun really starts because the lingam is at that level. The lingam is the etheric lingam inside of you, and the personality is still calibrating itself to that as well. So you've got that interplay with you and your lover. And what's really fascinating about lovemaking is your lovemaking can be even more refined than the two people with the genitals.
It's extremely artistic, the whole process.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. And when you say that, can you extrapolate a little bit more? Like I know it's art, but yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I'm personally drawn to spirituality or um, sex is because, I mean, it's almost a scientific sort of, uh,
Yeah,
it's actually very scientific. You know, there's something about
as
understanding
well.
cause and effect and being so precise in any art form that you do. Like I'm also a dancer and I'm very interested in being extremely precise with the movement and seeing the aesthetic effect of it. And so when you talk about this relationship between the yoni lingam and material reality and that very experimentation with what's manifesting between the couple externally and attuning your awareness to what's happening internally, it's just mystical. And you start to see the nature of reality, which is things don't, it's so embedded in the mind that, oh, there's this material reality and, this leads to that and that leads to this. And I'm here sitting in my car because I drove from my house to this traffic light. And it's like, is that really why? Is that really how I'm here sitting in my car? Or was this moment birth from non-existence into existence?
I got a shiver when you said that. Like, well, when you look, we know this because I'm also very much a big believer in belief inquiry. And so do you believe people into existence? It's not really were they there all the time? Yeah, do they show up out of an internal reality from a frequency? Yeah. And as you go deeper in, you can see how that's very possible. The nature of man and woman with capital M and W is that they're the only two principles that reside in the body alongside of each other all the time, that make a whole, and then they split off into fragmented psyche parts. So that's what's fascinating as well, when everybody likes this self-sufficiency kind of model too. It puts that into deep question as well. Yeah.